welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a glamorous assistant. He's not too happy about it. It's nice and windy. Today we're working on a 2014 Volkswagen Polo. Needs a bit of TLC, needs a bit of a clean. But today we're going to do both rear springs, do a full service filter kit on the engine, and we're also going to do a clutch. So there we have, very quickly done. Jacked it up, got an axle stand on. What we did there, just undone this at 16 and 17, undone that shocker, let this drop back. The glamorous assistant stood on this. That gave us enough space to get that spring out, get it replaced. Now, you put that old spring away.
Old spring away, do you want to see it?
No, it just cracked, so it failed its MOT because it cracked about that much off the bottom. You having fun?
No.
Well, that's both new rear springs now in. Only one, well, they're both fractured, but one was listed on the MOT fail. Always replace them in pairs. Make sure that's tight. So now under the vehicle, got it supported by jacks and jack stands. As you can see, we've got a nice bit of an oil leak. But on this car, we've taken the under tray off, which is just T25 Torx or T30s, whatever. But we've got these weird plasticky clips, as you can see. That one's just chilling there, to take off this sound deadening mat, I think. Yeah, so we're going to take this off and we'll drop the oil. So when you're replacing the oil filter on a 1.2 diesel Polo, you'll see inside here, this side has got a cut out. Now that side lines up with this on this stick, so that lifts like that, that goes in there. But whenever you're replacing these, obviously you want to check the condition of your oil. This one's nice and diesely. Have a look at your filter, see if you can see any shards of metal. Now this one, despite being atrociously dirty, is actually fine. You clean your bits up, and then what you really want to do is replace these seals. Okay, we've got a drive tech kit here. We've got our new filter. Open that. As you can see, we've got our cutouts here in that top bit where it says drive tech, and that bit's solid. So this goes through, put that down, that goes on like that, nice and snug. And what we also get in here are 3 O-rings. So you're going to remove the old ones and put the new ones on. If you've got something like a pick tool, that'll help you. So whilst he's finishing up taking this wheel arch liner out so we can get access to the gearbox behind it, so now we're going to drain the oil, engine cover off. What we're going to do to start is crack this oil cap, which isn't milky, which is always a good thing. We'll crack that now so air can get in, so when I undo the bolt it'll run out freely. So here we have Polo stripped. I've taken the slave cylinder out, could do a replacing that, but we're not going to. It worked, so it shall work again. Disconnected the gear selector cables. We're going to cable tie them up out the way. We've disconnected the N75. That's over the other side, so now I've got a nice clean area. I've taken the starter motor out as well, so that's all good to go. We've disconnected the two connectors down here, the starter exciter and the reverse switch. So I think that's everything connected to the gearbox now that we need to take off, apart from drive shafts, but we're going to do them. We're just about to drop the actual gearbox out of the car, which will be fun, getting it right there. I've also thrown the wheel back on because now we're going to go run, grab the clutch. That GSF failed to get in time this morning when I went to go pick up all the parts, when they said it'd be ready for 10. Back, it's extremely windy still. We have this contraption. I weren't quite happy with the engine brace because there's no like engine crane point on this side. So we've got a chain on this, on the actual lifting point, and around this solid looking bracket we have a seat belt, and we also have a chain going to this one. This one's now gone slack a little bit because we've taken that up with the engine crane, so we're quite happy about that. Now I'm going to disconnect this, get that gearbox out, and just like that, light's now fading us, but we have a new air filter going in the air filter box. You just need to screw it together. Meanwhile, I've got this, and we're almost there, just disconnecting the two 18s at the top and the three 16s at the bottom, and we're probably going to have to undo this lower arm to get this drive shaft out of the way. Once that drive shaft's out of the way, we should be able to get this gearbox away from the engine and then do the clutch. So, your journey is a little bit different now. Subframe's out. It's now rather wet and windy rather than just windy. Got a block of wood and the jack on the bottom of the engine. We've got a jack for the gearbox. We've also still got the engine beam and the engine crane, which is well overkill, but is what it is. That's what we're doing. So we had issues getting the gearbox in, so we're going to retake the gearbox out, make sure the clutch is aligned, then throw it all back in, get the subframe back on, get it back on its wheels. Yeah, and we'll probably call it a day if it's raining like this. Yeah. So guys, as you can see down there, we now have our clutch in, bolted up nice and tight. We used a clutch alignment tool, which is, well, it's just a little cylinder thingy that goes in there, lines all that up. So that's now lined up, gearbox is back underneath, and we're going to lift that onto the jack, and then we're going to guide it back in, and hopefully be able to get this in relatively easily. Fingers crossed. So we have some success. As you'll see, there's no engine beam, no engine crane. Rip glove though. So yes, that is now back in on its gearbox mount. All nice and good. Underneath, still need to put the subframe on, but that's now back in. So still got the slave to put on, so gear linkage cables could put on, and so got the start motor to put back in. So all those connections we undid, all want to go back on. So yeah, next up we'll probably put the slave on, because then we can test the clutch pedal and how that feels. And then yeah, we'll look at drive shafts first before we put the subframe on, then put the subframe on. Yeah, but that should go pretty rapid if I'm honest. So now on the inside of the car, and as you can see, we've given it a quick little spruce up. There's a lot of CDs and stuff that need to be gone through. My glamorous assistant will be doing that, but we've cleaned up the contact areas. Now I have hoovered some of the bits, but I'm not going to hoover them all. We'll take it to a petrol station upon its return, and get that hoovered out nicely, just because it's a lot of dog hair and whatnot, because they have two large Labradors, which are lovely dogs. But yeah, so like I said, just on these control surfaces, little bobbleheads, just on these control surfaces, come up lovely. Rest of the car will come up lovely with the hoover now. All nice and clean, like I say. So today we've got to button up underneath. We've still got the well, last thing you'll have seen is the clutch in, gearbox is back in, subframe's back on, control arms are back on, subframe support's back on, everything's back on apart from the sway bar on the front and the short drive shaft on that side. That needs to be bolted in. We might have to change one of the bolts on that because one of them did decide to strip on this side, but we put a good bolt on that side. That's all torqued up. Like I said, just need to do that. The sway bar, that's back together. Then the other thing on this one was the key barrel. Now this works intermittently. It's not going to work at all because the battery's not on. But sometimes the owner would go to start it and it wouldn't go over into the start position. Or sometimes it would even click over into the starter position to trip the start motor and nothing would happen. Now, feeling the barrel feels really rough. So we've got a brand new key barrel for the ignition. We have two keys that came matching that ignition, and we also have the driver's door lock because there's only one key lock on this car. So what we're going to do first is we're going to have a look at the key lock in the door, make sure we can swap that, and then we're going to take the steering wheel off. As soon as we've still got it up in the air on axle stands, it'll be nice and easy to turn. We'll pop this airbag out, take the steering wheel off, get these trims out, and then have a look at swapping the ignition barrel itself, as long as it matches. Use a little pick tool to get this cover off. As we can see, nice and dirty back here, but that's the driver's lock key barrel, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be undoing these grub screws, and that should hopefully free up this barrel to come out. So there we have it. We have the old barrel out, and that's the old key, and this is the new barrel and the new key. Now, it's always important when you're doing these things to check you have the right part. So I ordered this purely off the internet without any part numbers, and have managed to come up trumps. So that's the old one, that's the new one, that's identical. Now as well, this is the new ignition barrel. Unfortunately, somebody decided to only take the one side off. But you can see there, we've got 6RO, 905, 851B, HF2 on there. And if you look, well, I'll read it to you in there. I'll not even read it. It is the exact same part number for the ignition barrel. So we now know that we can effectively swap this. Now, obviously the immobiliser transponder and this key is paired to the car. Now, what you can do on these keys, if you just fold that, which is very tricky to do one-handed, see there's a little pin that actually holds this blade in to the mechanism. Now, I was going to take the key completely apart to get this whole thing out and swap it, but now you should just be able to knock that pin out. See that pin there? Knock that pin out, take the blade off, put it onto that key, and then everything will work. Luckily, we've got two of these, but the bodies will be functionally useless, I guess. And if you're really curious on how to get that barrel out, undo that one till it stops, undo that one till it's like loose, then push it in, use the key to wiggle that barrel out. Obviously after taking your plastic cover off, which I'll now refit to this one, after I check that it now works on locking and unlocking the door. Easy as pie, got the steering wheel moved all the way out, got the old key in the barrel, just release the steering wheel lock, and then all you're doing is, a pick tool or something. I'd recommend you flip your camera to like selfie mode, just so you can have a look when you've turned the wheel over. What you're looking to do is just move this little spring down to release it off this locking tab. Voila, you now have access to remove your steering wheel airbag, which you need to do to get access to the ignition barrel, as we need to take this lower cowl off. We have the 3 screws, the 3 torques, the 1 big and the two smalls that are on either side of the stalks. Got those loose, so yeah, we'll just crack on now. As we're removing the steering wheel, we do have an M12 spline. That'll go in there. Make sure you take it off and it's straight. Obviously you'll have lining marks under there. Yeah, but essentially what you're going to need to do now is hold the wheel steady with one hand and crack that nut loose with the other. Just like that, we've now got the ignition barrel exposed. It's not a massive job to get to, and this isn't an instructional, this is just following along. So you just want to undo it. That's for your reader for the chip and the key. That's a big plug for the clocks, that's a plug for the actual key barrel itself on the back there, and then there is floating about an earth cable there that goes on there. Put the bolt on the new one just so we don't forget where it goes. So now you've got 2 options. You could either cut slits in the top and then try and use a flathead screwdriver. You can get a hammer and a chisel and chisel it out that way. These are tight. Obviously these are security bolts from the factory. When they were tightened, the bit to actually turn them snaps off. So there's a couple of things. You could use a grinder, but obviously you're on the inside of a car, metal, fire risk, all of that. You could use a reciprocating saw. It might be the route I go if we've got a fresh enough blade, or you get out like a lump hammer and a chisel and you just whack the thing until it spins free. But what I will do first is get a bit of WD-40 on there, get it down in the crack, down under, but then we'll wipe the surface back clean so our tools don't slip. So there we have it, the new one in position loosely. I was just thinking, these screws, these security ones, are absolute pants. I mean, if you're changing an ignition bar at this point, you're not changing it to steal it, you're changing it because it's gone wrong. So what I've done, this is the old one, as you can see, but I've just been into my spare bolts, and it goes all the way through, so length's not really an issue. and the thread pitch seems to be exactly the same. So I know this is off a Mark 1 Fabia somewhere. If you can tell what that bolt's for, cool. If you can't, it looks like that, and that's now what I'm going to use to put the new one back in without having to deal with those damn security bits anyway, which technically the security is compromised because now you can get them off. Yeah. So here we have the faulty barrel and the new barrel. So on the new barrel, as you can see, we're flicking over, that's the ignition position. It will turn, return back, that's engine started, flick it back to ignition, engine started. Now on this one, I'll have to brace that here. This is the old one, so that is locked in the ignition position and it won't cycle forward. So go back to ignition, will not cycle. So first click, second click, nothing. Only works half the time, and then just to make sure, so one, 2, turns, 1, 2, ignition, turns, to ignition, it's not having it. So that's why this is going in the bin. So now I've got all this back together and we've confirmed that the steering wheel lock now functions as intended. We have the old key, we have the new key. As you can see, they're locked in this position because we've hammered the pins slightly out. So now what we need to do is we need to keep this one here, keep this fob. We need the blade onto this fob, from this fob. So that one needs to go in the bin, that one needs to go on this fob, and then we've got a spare fob. There we have it. So we've now successfully swapped, so that's the original fob. This is the new key blade. In getting that out, a very fine drill bit, of whatever size that is, that fits nicely to remove the pin. So this one is the old one, which is folded in, but yeah, we don't really care about that because that is the old fob. It's now just spares. And so this, we're going to need to salvage the blade off of this one. We'll do that, we'll keep that blade to one side. Yeah, then we've got some spare bits. This lock barrel, still perfectly functional, but it doesn't match the ignition barrel. Well, it matches that one. Yeah, but so for example, this is the key. Now that came with this lock set, it's just on the wrong barrel still. Wrong barrel, wrong fob. But yeah, this one is fully done, so it's got the transponder chip that matches this car, and it's now got the blade that matches this ignition barrel. As you can see, to ignition and turn. So that's the problem eliminated that they were having with this car, with the ignition barrel being absolutely useless. Yeah, so one of the other things on the MOT was brake pedal excessive travel. Now with this off, it isn't going soft on me. The pressure's staying there. It's actually pumped up nice and firm from where it was, which tells me I think we need to bleed the brakes. It has had new brakes recently. I wonder if it had a brake fluid flush, and I wonder if they have left a bit of air in that system. Working the clutch, it does feel nice and light. I can hear it doing clutchy things. That we'll find out if that works when we start the car. Cabin filter, real easy job on these Polos. This one, well overdue. You can start to see some of that crap coming through on the other side, which is obviously coming into your blowers. Not ideal. That's what they're there for. Literally just up there. Nice and easy to get. Two little sliding tabs. Slide them both to the middle. That comes down. Get that out. Get it swapped. Yet again, more progress. So you've got these little clips here. Take those off. When they're off, you can then get the fuel filter. You just remove these three tabs out of the way. The fuel filter slides up. So we can tell that this one, it has had a fuel filter at some point in its life. That being a man filter. yeah, so we'll need to prime the system now before we do fire it up for the first time. But it'd be nice to have a new diesel filter in there. I don't have any history on this vehicle, it's not my vehicle, so it's always worthwhile now. Whilst we're doing it, might as well do it right, do all of it. So, going back to it, that's a new diesel filter. We have got a new oil filter in there, yet to put the oil into this, but we will do that at some point very shortly. There's a new air filter, new cabin filter, so the new clutch, pressure plate, release bearing, that good stuff. So the brake issue, rather than trusting my glamorous assistant when I asked him, I've pumped the pedal, it's actually holding pressure, it hasn't dropped any, which does indicate that really that master cylinder should be okay. Now, I don't know who did the brakes, it has had brakes recently, I don't know if that included a fluid flush, so what we're going to do is we're going to bleed the brakes whilst we've got the wheels off. And we're going to see if that cures the problem. Now obviously we've got all this back in, we're still yet to plumb in, we'll plumb back in the starter motor, so we'll get the starter motor back in, then we can refit like the battery tray, get the airbox back in, all that good stuff. Yeah, without forgetting we do need to put engine oil in before we do try and start it. Yeah, it's one of them. We are just going to do a spanner check on all the bolts we've had out underneath, make sure we're happy with everything under there. Obviously now I've got the new key barrels in as well, so that should be fine. Yeah, it's just going to be a case of putting it back together. What we're all going to do whilst we've got it out is just lower the aim of this headlight a bit, because that did come up as a fail on the MOT. Now, if the garage is alright with you, I mean, it's 2 seconds to do that, and for them to aim it properly, I mean, so now we're all back together, somewhat cleaner, somewhat nicer than it was before. So we're going to prime the fuel filter first before we attempt to start it. We have got oil, that's good. Under trays, everything's back in as it should be. Apart from this air intake, which I'll throw on just shortly. And then we're ready to see if it'll start, if it'll drive, if the clutch will work, if the brakes are happy. And there we have it. So now we have the glamorous assistant driving the car. Any clutch slip?
I don't think so. Absolutely not.
Well, on the move anyway. So it's all back together, it's driving nice. Yeah, I'd call that a success. No warning lights, smooth gear change. Where's the bite point? Is it down low or is it up high?
Nice and low.
Nice and low. Well, that's what we like. And how's the brakes feel? Because I know the brakes were spongy.
Very reactive.
Very good. Firm pedal.
Firm pedal.
And did it start?
It did start.
There we go. So that's ignition barrel with key swap, door lock swap, new clutch, new rear springs, which to be fair feel alright, service on the engine. Yeah, happy days.